Welcome to the Art and Science of Complex Sales, proudly presented by Membrane. This podcast is your gateway to mastering the craft of modern selling. If you're passionate about growth, impact, and unlocking full potential in sales and revenue, you're in the right place. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And now let's get started with today's guest.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today we are talking with a legend from down under, Mr. Jason Howes, CEO of Arrow Executive Sales and author of a brand new book, Crystal Ball Recruiting. We're talking about recruiting salespeople and how you can help build a great system to make it happen. Let's get started with Jason Howes. Jason Howes, my brother from down under, how the heck you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks, Paul, and great to see you again.
Great to see you too. It's been too long.
The year's flying by. This is one of the fastest years of my life, Paul.
Well, for good reason. You got a big old project. I mean, you got a number of big old projects, but you got a big project here that we're here to talk about today. Congratulations. You're birthing a little baby book.
I am, Paul. Thank you very much. Yes, started December 14th, 2024. When I actually had come off the back of writing a white paper and thought, I've nearly got like 2 or 3 chapters of a book here. I should just keep going and write a book.
Let's go.
Little did I know, Paul. Little did I know how difficult it was going to be. So, yeah, here we are now, 9th of December. And anyway, the good news is that I am waiting on a printed copy to turn up in my mailbox, which is excited to do one final quick edit and glance over to make sure everything is right before we hit print and in volume and also put onto leading platforms.
This project is awesome. Tell me a little bit about what it's about. So let's just give the broad overview for the listeners.
Thanks, Paul. So the title, actually had trouble with the title because the original one I came up with didn't quite work. So in the end, the book is called Crystal Ball Recruiting, and it's because it's like looking into a crystal ball before you even interview somebody. And it's about how to attract, recruit, and retain the top 20% of sales professionals. So I've used a lot of experience I've had in our own business recruiting top talent. I've seen how much trouble leaders and sales managers are having attracting, and not only to attract, but also to effectively recruit the best performers and then to be able to retain the top 20% of performers. And I think that recipe is what it takes to be able to build a high performance sales team that can last or you can sustain long term, because right now over 50% of hires fail. And it's believed to be up to 75% potentially. And not only that, but the average sales tenure of a salesperson is 17 months and dropping, Paul. So it's costing companies a lot of money at an investment of $200,000 per person if somebody is on the road. So if they only last 6 months, if you turn right, you got a $100,000 bill. If you turn left and they last 12 months, it's a $200,000 cost to the business. So what we've tried to do is to be able to show leaders and hiring managers that there's a better way to invest your money and to make a return on investment, which I think is one of the key areas that's been not focused on enough in sales recruitment.
Well, you and I have talked previously as well. And you've dubbed this, I think you call this the sales performance crisis. So how does that relate to the turnover? Like in the turnover and what you just brought out, what is this concept that you have around the sales performance crisis?
Well, it's a combination, Paul, of companies not having the systems and the process and selecting the right people. And it's also from a salesperson's perspective of where, a salesperson's reading, well, I should say again, they're not really reading the job ad specifically to see what they have to do or understanding what they have to do. They're turning up and they're either not interested in doing what's required or they haven't been trained to do what's required. So there's a real what would I call it? Like a real misalignment in what good practice looks like, and people are not. From my perspective, sales recruitment hasn't been taken serious enough. Most people have never been taught how to do it, and most leaders don't understand how to actually make a return on investment. And I think right now that there's some statistics as well. I think it's like 60% of roles are actually misinterpreted. So they're not actually, people are turning up for a job, and it's not what they expected.
60%. That's wild. That is wild. So we're talking about two sides of the same coin. I think one is that we're not empowering the reps that we do get, but on the very front side of that is we're not getting the right people into the gigs that are open. And so those are two things. Let's focus on that first. How does sales hiring differ from like general hiring? And is that a big cause of this disconnect where people they treat it like any other gig they're hiring for?
That's a fair call. And again, I'll reflect back. Most hiring managers have never been taught how to recruit. If you look at it from a point of view that, yeah, you're right. Like if you're hiring for someone to work at a counter, or if you're hiring for someone to work in administration, there's a lot more to it with a salesperson because the cost is huge. Salespeople have become very good at interviewing because they've had a lot of practice. But on the flip side of that, a lot of it, the responsibility has to come back to the business because they're not setting a clear path or the processes and the systems to be able to succeed. And I think that's one of the key areas I know we've spoken about before, is that a lot of companies are just expecting someone to turn up and they're going to fix all their problems. And that is not going to happen unless you're very lucky. Then you have to try and retain that person. So yeah, hiring for salespeople is very difficult. And this is where our process comes in. I sort of likened it a little bit to running the 100-meter hurdle race. Like, I mean, in the Olympics, it's a fast and furious race. If you miss one of the hurdles, it slows you down. But there's a lot of hurdles you need to get over when recruiting for salespeople. And unfortunately, a lot of hiring managers typically reflect to people that know someone who's, hasn't got a job and can start straight away. And I think a lot of it does come back to the investment in recruitment. I understand that. A lot of people don't want to pay to recruit. But if you look at, this is why we've written the book, is that the impact on the wrong person, or the impact on your business not being set up to successfully bring someone into your business and onboard them effectively, and to be able to make them or ensure that they can succeed is very, very challenging. So there's a lot of us, I'll say, because I was, I've been a salesperson, I've been a sales manager, and at the moment there's a lot of people wearing multiple hats. They're all very busy. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of redundancies. There's a lot of cost increases, margins tight, sales have stalled. So right now, and this is part of why I wrote the book, is that, I want to see more companies succeed. I want more companies right now, more leaders to go, instead of just saying, we can't do any more, we've got to lay people off. Well, why not get better people, and why not grow the sales? I mean, that's the obvious choice, isn't it, to grow the sales? I think a lot of leaders have just realised it. Well, they haven't realised, but I think they've got to a point where they don't think they can hire or recruit better people at the moment. They've sort of like given up.
Well, and I think it is because there's a double whammy when you're hiring salespeople, right? And hiring account managers and that. But if you make the wrong hire, you're not only killing opportunity cost for growth, you're draining cash as well, right? So you have both of those things. So if somebody is coming in and you have the wrong one, you're killing both market opportunity and you're draining, what you have in the coffers now. And I don't think people all the time see that as a reality. And by not seeing that as a reality, I think some things like you talk about is they underestimate like ramp up times, and they underestimate things like being able to onboard and bring somebody on. Let's start with that one. Just that. How important is it, and how detailed do you have to be just to simply figure out and define an effective salesperson's role? Because not all sales is the same.
You're right, Paul. So one of our chapters is clearly defining the role, and that is understanding I've said this before to leaders. It's like they'll come to us and say, I want to hire another salesperson. Okay, well, what happened? Like someone left, or we had to let someone go. They weren't performing. And then what we do is actually drill into, well, where's your business at? I mean, are you winning any new accounts? Are you growing? Are you successfully launching any new products? Really to understand, and I had this not long ago, with a business that had 4 or 5 account managers and one left, and the automatic reaction was to recruit again. Well, do you need them? And just from my perspective, I couldn't see how this business actually needed another person. I was more looking at it to, maybe we should invest that money in doing work on the people you've got and your systems and your processes to make sure that they have the opportunity to succeed. So, if you are defining that role, it's like, well, what's missing from you succeeding at the moment? You know what I mean? So chapter 1 is assessing current team capabilities. Chapter 2 is making a return on investment of your salespeople. Chapter 3 is clearly defining the role. And I think that's the big area for me. Yes, it may seem weird because potentially we are missing out on doing recruitment work.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm always putting on that dual hat that, no, we are a sales performance improvement company, and we will help you invest your money the best way possible. And that isn't always putting on another salesperson. And I think that's where I don't classify, ourselves as a recruiter. Okay, yes, we do recruitment, but it's part of what we do. And I think if I was just a recruiter, I'd be like, yep, no worries, let's go put another person on, and then throw someone at you that's got industry experience and hope they last probation. So, right now, definitely assessing what you've got, what's working, what's not working, and what you require to move that needle and to be able to start to get things going.
That's great. So, and then let's go back then. So I jumped a couple steps to defining a role, but what is key in that role then? So you assessed your team, you're finding your holes, you're really taking a second look at that. I think before you ever start, getting some help doing that is good. What are different parts of a role component for you that is kind of like whittling down the best people out there?
Well, I think that's the key for us is before you go looking is to have a very clear understanding of what's required for the business. And that is it an account management role? Is it a hybrid role? Is it a BDM role? Is it a product management position? Because, you really need to understand, what your PD looks like as well. Like, so if you're going to go to markets, it's like, well, what is the position description and what is this person looking to do? Because if you're going to try and open the gate, I'd say, to attracting and hiring from a wider talent pool, well, then you need to understand what you're looking for. And this is where a lot of companies are really struggling at the moment. It's the number one step is trying to attract more people to apply. And you need to make sure that, if you are looking at from a role specific point of view, who are they, who's the business dealing with, where are the sales at right now? And if you need to grow, well, then you need to make sure you're going out and looking for the right person. The next step might be you want to be promoting right from the get-go the right behaviors and expectations that this role requires. So, if it is a hunting role, well, then you want to be being very specific about that, and also the analytics and the leading KPIs that are required to do that role effectively. Because, you don't want, there's plenty of account managers out there, as you know, but from a business development professional perspective, there's a lot of people that don't want to do that role. If you look at it, in the book, we go through 10 key questions about what defines the role for success. And then we lead into certain areas of, what's expected from that person each day. Are they seeing just existing customers, and how many calls they're going to be doing, how many booked meetings they're supposed to be doing. And again, I think, in the book, you'll find there's some templates and things to help companies develop leading KPIs to make sure that you're really ensuring straight away that, things like CRM and automation will be used as well to support the salespeople throughout their selling process.
So I had one guy tell me once that all you got to do is go out and just find somebody that's got the personality. And I did. I was selling, doing sales as a service. I had a sales as a service company for a long time, but one of our clients sold alarm systems, and he was like, "Man, the only thing you need, the reason I built this business is you just go out there and you find the person that's got the personality. They're the ones that are going to make it. They're the ones that are just going to come through and be able to talk the socks off of anybody." And I can't tell you how much I disagreed with him, but like so much. But there's so much more in what you're discussing than that. It's not the right person, but you're actually trying to dissuade potential, and you're not trying to necessarily just attract, you're trying to get rid of people through this process as well, and dissuade them from ever applying by saying, here's the freaking hard work you got to do. And if you're not good at
Absolutely.
it, don't come.
Oh, look, even, when we get to interviewing stage, we'll ask those tough questions, in this position you've applied for, it's probably 80% new business development. Are you prepared to do that on a daily basis? And clear it up straight away. Because, one of the biggest challenges you've got at the moment is you've got a lot of people don't even read a job advert, no matter what you put in there. All they'll do is look at the key areas they're interested in and they'll apply for it. And I think that's the key point of really defining the role. So when you are going through the recruiting process and we use leading assessment tools and our process covers off a lot of hurdles that they have to jump over to get through. But you really, you've got to ensure that you're covering the key aspects of what's required to hire top talent. And that's where we're heading at the moment, is that, we're guaranteeing that we're going to bring the best people to the table.
You're coming into a sales organization, the CEO likes a certain type of person, or a salesperson, or the VP of sales likes a certain type. How do you get bias out of the equation? How do you get away from that CEO that's like, man, you just got to hire based on personality. That's what we need. We just need somebody that's go out and make people smile. How do you help them resist that bias?
Well, I think the first thing, Paul, is, as you know, is that most people don't even realize that bias exists. So in Crystal Ball Recruiting, Chapter 6 is removing bias from hiring. It's actually trying to get our clients, or get readers, to understand that there is bias and what's causing that and how it can affect their hiring decisions. So it is very important to remove the bias. If you look at certain things, when we're working in recruitment, we're a proud Objective Management Group partner in Australia, and that's at the start of our basically when everyone applies, if they've got sales experience, irrespective of whether it's industry related experience, we will put them through the assessment. Then we rely on the sales candidate assessment to come back and say, yes, this person's recommended, they meet the criteria for the group and the company we're hiring for, or maybe they're a little bit questionable, but they might be worthwhile progressing. They've just missed out in a few areas, or they're not recommended. So at the start of our hiring process, there's no bias. We don't know who they are, how old they are, where they live, whether they're male or female, or whatever. it is. So and even if we do shortlist somebody, we still don't know if we call them up for, say, a 5 or 10 minute phone call to understand more about them to see if they should progress through. We still don't know. Yes, we get to hear what they look like, but we don't get to see what they look like. Again, it's not really until we get to the video interview stage we actually see the person. So we're removing the bias. We're giving everyone a fair chance of applying for the role and moving through the position, because we all do have our own bias, and a lot of people, even myself as a hiring manager, I didn't realize, and it does have a very big effect, because I've got some pretty cool images as well that was done by this very creative lady, international illustrator, and there's some really cool images showing some examples of what bias looks like and how we need to be able to remove those. We'll remove that from when we're recruiting. Otherwise, we end up hiring everybody like ourselves. You can sit in a meeting and everyone's talking the same way, or they look similar, or they've got similar backgrounds. And that it can be a real challenge, because I've been a sales leader where we've been in a strategic session and I'm sort of looking around and I'm like, okay, I want some input from the team. Okay, what do you guys think? You've got any ideas? Let's have a good strategy session. And there was nothing. And I'm sitting there going, okay, this is a problem. Like, I've hired too many people the same. And I think now what I love about how we do this is that we're bringing in a lot more, people now into our industry that have got, broader experience, or they've got a degree in marketing or business or management or whatever it is, or they've had their own business in the past and they've learned, having your own business, you do learn a lot of things that people don't get to learn. So it's definitely a very important chapter in the book, and something that I'm really interested in seeing how, readers can leverage off that.
Nice. So just as a general statement with this, you said something that was interesting there. Do you favor hiring just based on, assessing capabilities and that, or do you favor based on industry experience, or do you have does it depend on the company?
It's a fair question. I always go looking for the best person for the job. So I'll try and look at what the business needs and what they're asking for. But I also, it's a bit like a lucky dip, really. I don't know whether you have that overseas. As you're a kid, you used to go and pay a couple of bucks and put your hand in, and sometimes you advertise and you can get somebody really good. Other times it's it's a struggle. So I do tend to, again, I think because our process has so many hurdles to get over, that if someone sort of, someone hits a hurdle and they knock it over, I'm like, okay, maybe this person's not a good fit, or if they've hit 2 or 3, they're obviously out straight away. So, I think it does depend. I don't hire just for industry experience, and that's where 90% of our clients get in trouble. And I understand that, because I've been there. I had a situation recently where, one of our clients is like, hey, someone's reached out. I know the person. And we're like, okay, well, let's put them through the process. And we put them through the process, and they came back in the bottom 30% of salespeople. So, typically this person could have been hired, but we've presented candidates that are in the top 30 or top 20%. So there's that big gap. And I'll take sales ability and someone that's motivated to do what's outside their comfort zone to win new business over somebody that's got just product or some industry experience any day.
All right. Well, let's jump to one final thing here, because once we get them on board, how do you bring them on board in a way, and how do you recommend that people bring sales reps on board in a way that sets the stage for retaining and sets the stage for success and long term? I know that's a big open question, but what are some of the basics there that you talk about?
Paul, as you would appreciate, onboarding is the most underestimated and undervalued part of bringing on a new salesperson. Unfortunately, a lot of people are set up to fail. Most people are too busy to onboard. They've never been taught how to onboard. There's no process. It's a little bit like Halloween, actually, I say, and some of the things in the chapter will shock you. But it does say that, 40%, research shows that 40% of sales executives have left sales jobs, due to poor onboarding or training. And I think that number I mentioned before was actually 70% of new hires say the job was misrepresented to them. So I think, a lot of it has to do with the fact that everybody's so busy. Onboarding doesn't seem to be a priority for us and we've looked at best practice as well. So in the book, you'll get to see examples of, what a 30, 60, 90 day onboarding process looks like because it's critical. And I think there's a lot of areas, a lot of hurdles you can knock over on the way through. And some of the stories we've heard are terrible. It's like, throwing a set of keys and see you later. And and sometimes not even getting a customer list sometimes, and it's like, and it's difficult for us as a recruiter as well, or hiring people, because we're supposed to guarantee the people we recruit, but there's so many restrictions on the ability for that person to succeed. It's basically the traditional methods of recruiting and then relying on the company to onboard effectively is over. And I think that's why now that's why I wrote the book. That's why we work with clients, because there's much more to it than just doing those few things. And that's where I think the sales turnover and tenure is all going wrong, because again, it's like flipping a coin, 50-50. Is it going to work or not? We're actually getting to a situation now, and I'm just about to release some new options in our recruitment, but we're going to move to a 12-month guarantee.
Oh, wow. So you are confident, absolutely confident in this.
Yeah. So if you follow the process, follow the systems, do everything that's recommended in Crystal Ball Recruiting, that means that we will help you to onboard. We will have coaching sessions with the candidates, and our priority is for you to make a return on investment. We're that confident. But again, the business has to be serious. They have to look at this as an investment in their future. Again, because what we're doing here, is going to save you money and make you money, not cost you money. And I think it's time for leaders, sales managers, HR, hiring managers to take this seriously. Things have to change. We can't keep doing what we're doing. It's not working.
All right. Well, from down under directly to your ears, Mr. Jason Howes is preaching the truth. Crystal Ball Recruiting is the book. We will, I believe, have a link to it upon release of the podcast. So that's fantastic. Jason, unless there's any massive edits you need to make in the last thing, but I'm excited for you to be holding that up, pushing it in front of, or getting it in front of people, and sharing your workout with everybody. Any final thoughts for the podcast?
Look, Paul, it's always great to catch up with you and talk sales. We could do it for hours. I think, again, my passion is helping companies hire with more science and more, predictability that someone's going to succeed. So the book is written, for leaders and hiring managers. It's probably a 4-hour investment of your time. It will be available to purchase through Amazon and leading online retailers as well. So definitely, we'll have that link for you shortly. But I do really hope that this can make a change in how we recruit in the future, because something has to change. And I mean from a candidate's perspective as well. Like, someone should be able to take a new job, be excited, and turn up for what they're expecting to get, not to be turning up and just having a really poor culture, or the job's been sold to them that doesn't exist. So it's up to everyone here to invest in this to make it a better outcome, as it should be. It should be exciting to get a new job and to hire someone new.
Amen. Let's go. All right, everybody. Check out Jason Howes on LinkedIn, Arrow Executive Sales, and his new book, Crystal Ball Recruiting. It's going to be a banger. Keep shining bright and have an amazing, amazing day. We'll talk to you soon.